We've got MJ Akbar, veteran political journalist, BJP member, joining us now on this broadcast. Mr. Akbar, great news for the NDA this morning. It seems comfortably poised at this time to form the next government at the centre. You would be delighted, sir.
Yes, indeed, and it's just not my delight. I think what we are really seeing today is the delight of the Indian voter and the Indian citizen, that dismal, very dismal 10 years is finally over, and we can get back to the governance of revival and the governance of hope.
You know, one of the things that was apparent on our instant tracker earlier, MJ, this is Karan Thapar, is that in fact a far larger percentage of the so-called Muslim seats, and I don't know what percent Muslim populations we're talking about, is actually voting or leading in the BJP direction. Are you surprised by that, or in a sense is that vindication of your position that in fact 2002 and the other concerns are now over?
Karan, I really couldn't get the question. I'm sorry, there's just too much static going on.
Okay, I'll repeat.
Could you please sort of repeat that?
Happily. One of the things that we noticed earlier on our instant tracker was that when we looked at the Muslim seats, and I don't know precisely what percentage of the population in those seats is Muslim, but we've classified them as Muslim seats, a very sizable percentage, above 30% in fact, were going to the BJP if you go by the leads. Are you surprised by that, or is that in a sense a vindication of the stand you took when you said that issues like 2002 were no longer relevant this time round?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, Karan, because when I was traveling all over the country, particularly in the north, this was very, very evident to me. You know, we have slaughtered the minorities of our country into what might be called almost ghetto traps, including in the media, I'm afraid. And we don't see the minorities as people who also are aspirational, who also want a better life, who also want a better job. We slot them into images of the past rather than finding a place for them in the future. And I think this campaign of the BJP, which concentrated totally, the central theme was unmistakable: jobs, better economy, secure nation, secure on the borders, secure inside for every Indian citizen. That struck a very, very major resonance. It was not merely anger against the UPA, which was visible all around. It was also a great amount of hope in Narendra Modi as a person who could deliver our nation and who can take our nation back towards the path of economic growth and towards those dreams which once we dared to dream more than 10 years ago.
You know, something else that was also apparent on our instant tracker is when we looked at Dalit seats alongside Muslim seats, when we looked at urban seats and when we looked at rural seats, in each of these, something like 60% of the votes from the early leads, and I stress these are only early leads, was going in your direction. Do you think there's something interesting about the fact that in each of these four cases, somewhere between 60-65% of the vote is going to the BJP? Does that surprise you?
Karan, I don't know if that question is addressed to me or not, because, you know, one of two things could be happening. One, I'm getting deaf, or two, your system is sort of weakening to a point where I really can't hear a word. Do you think that somebody could raise the volume or something?
Yes, absolutely. While I repeat that question, I'll also ask our production control room to raise the volume too. But what I was asking, and it was to you the question, that are you somewhat surprised by the fact that in critical areas like urban seats, rural seats, Dalit seats, Muslim seats, those are four that we've actually tracked, somewhere between 60-65% of the vote on the basis of leads, and I stress these are only early leads, but it was going in your direction to the BJP. Did that surprise you? Because it's an uncanny figure, 60-65% in each of those four cases. No, I don't think.
Again, was that to me?
Yes, it is.
Are you talking about something around the rural vote?
Yes, it was. I think we're having problem with that line. Maybe we can come back to you and get that line fixed in the meantime.
Yeah. All the crackers going off, I think that's causing a bit of a problem.
MJ, focus for a moment for me on Bihar. Of the 30 leads that are available, the BJP is leading in 26, 2 to JDU, and I believe 2 to perhaps Congress. And that's an 87% strike rate in your favor. Did you expect that, in fact, Mr. Modi would propel the BJP, if those leads are believable, to such an enormous margin of victory in Bihar?
Karan, when I did my last press conference in the last phases of the campaign in Patna, I remember arguing with many of my friends in media, saying that they had completely underestimated, all these artificial theories that were being propelled and being sort of spread all around. There had been this consolidation, that consolidation of this caste and that religion. I won't even mention the castes and religions because I think it's a bit demeaning. And I said, why do you insult the voter? The voter is looking for a better economy, and the voter knows in Bihar who is going to provide it. And, but every single, you saw the exit polls, Karan, I don't need to repeat them. I don't know what happens to people when they refuse to see the obvious. Narendra Modi has inspired a kind of confidence which is almost unprecedented, almost unprecedented.
Let me ask you a question, not so much as a BJP spokesperson, but as someone who's been an observer of Indian elections for decades and someone who tries to analyze them. What we are seeing, if these leads are to be believed, is a huge swing in favor of the BJP, particularly in areas like UP, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh. Is this a vote for Mr. Modi, a vote for hope, as Ravi Shankar Prasad expressed it, a vote for aspiration? Or is it in fact a vote against the anger, frustration, rage and lack of performance of the UPA? Which do you believe is the propelling force?
It is a meeting of negative and positive. The negative was against the establishment, and in most of these states there was a double incumbency in UP and Bihar. A double incumbency against both the state government as well as the national government. Now look where governance worked. For example, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, where the people were supportive. There was only anti-incumbency against the center, and therefore BJP triumphed in the states where it had power, and it even exceeded everyone's expectations in the states where it did not have state power. This, looking back on so many elections, really reminds me of the 1971 election in which Mrs. Gandhi created a storm out of an economic promise. Now this time, Narendra Modi has actually done something far more, and he has actually also energized the Karyakarta, the party worker, to almost an unprecedented extent. And
what
this
you're
is
saying
the delivery of...
What you're saying is undoubtedly true of the 4 or 5 states of the north where the BJP is doing better than the polls suggested it would, although I emphasize this is only leads. But then if you look at the states of the south, Andhra, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, you don't see the same trend in the leads. You don't see the same suggestion of the BJP sweeping. Why is it that there's that marked difference between the north and the 4 states of the south?
Surely, Karan, you will concede that Karnataka is in the south. Surely you will concede that the TDP-BJP alliance in Andhra Pradesh is doing far better than what the reports we were reading after the polling indicated.
Well, actually, can I interrupt you on Karnataka? In fact, your performance compared to 2009 is actually down by 4 or 5 seats. You're not matching your 2009 performance.
Yeah, not yet, but wait for the end of the results, and also compare the performance to the results of the assembly elections, which were the last elections. There's a quantum leap forward in Karnataka as compared to the assembly elections vote. In Kerala, where the BJP did not have any seat, I think it is leading in 1. I don't have the exact figures. In Bengal, there's a tremendous increase in the BJP vote. In Assam, look at the performance in Northeast. So the BJP has in this election become a genuinely national force. And this has serious implications, I think, for Indian politics and for the party's own future.
Mr. Akbar, I have a question for you. How much of this improved showing in Karnataka would you credit to the reinduction of Mr. Yedurappa?
Well, every little bit helps, but the real momentum was provided by Narendra Modi and by the party he led.
Okay, we're going to leave it over there for the time being, Mr. Akbar. Thank you very much for joining us.